and this is the truth about mental illness. Oh my gosh, you all. I am so excited that you clicked on this video. Ooh, we are on our way. We are launching this social media campaign right now, and I can assure you that we are together on the absolute greatest mental health and wellness journey of our lifetime. Let's get it. My name is Dr. K. You're going to hear a little bit more about me in just a moment, but let me just tell you a little bit about what this platform is for. So the mission of Hey, it's Dr. K, the truth about mental illness, is specifically to affirm and empower persons that suffer from mental illness, like myself, and to encourage them in their walk, regardless of where they are, however it is that they show up on this side of heaven. This platform is also for my caregivers. Where my caregivers at? Man, y'all be holding us down. I don't care if it's a friend, a family member, all the way to an agency or organization or a hospital environment. Whatever it is, if you've been called into that space to give compassion and kindness and care to someone like myself who suffers from mental illness, I love you. Wow, you are so important. Also, this space is for my ally angels. These are the people who do not have mental illness, but they are just so serious about learning more. They just carry compassion. They live it out. They action it. They're so kind and they're really compassionate. So, and empathic too, right? So you don't have to have a mental illness in order to engage on this platform, because I promise you that through the stories of my life with 2 decades with mental illness, you're going to pick up on some stuff that's going to hopefully help any interaction that you would have after today and onward in working with or engaging in any way, personal, business relationships with persons that have mental illness. So without any further ado, let me put my, kind of trigger warning components out here. This platform is going to talk about mental illness. We know that that can be triggering. I know that it can be triggering. I have been triggered. And so if that happens when you're engaging in this particular space, please reach out to 988. That is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number. You can also send help or home to hashtag 741-741. That's the national crisis text line, and somebody would be there to be able to respond to you. So let me just share real quick a little bit about myself for those of you who do not know who I am. My name is Dr. K, obviously, and I have a bachelor's degree in psychology, a master's degree in clinical counseling, and a doctoral degree in counselor education and supervision. I am also a licensed professional clinical counselor with a supervision endorsement. That being shared, absolutely nothing I say in this space should ever be taken as clinical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You would have to definitely connect with a provider locally or near you that could help you process through whatever it is that you might be experiencing if you think that something needs to be addressed as it relates to your own emotional health and wellness. All the quirky stuff, let me get that out the way too. This is my platform. I'm going to show up whatever way I want to show up. Okay, because this is my truth and I promise to bring it to you. So some days I may look like this with the cute little, dress on or whatever and makeup done. Some days I might show up in a t-shirt or a sweatshirt. I don't know. It just depends on how I'm feeling, what my mood is. Life is lifing. And so I plan on being very authentic with that in this particular space as well. So some things that you can expect through this social media campaign and really just onward beyond the official launch, which is coming to us in the fall of this year. We're going to explore the truth about mental illness from my lived experiences, like I said, over the last 2 decades. I had the very fortunate opportunity earlier this year. I felt God calling me to record my journey with mental illness, and I did that. And wow. I know that I'm going to screen it live at my private launch. I don't know what I'm going to do with that after that. I'm really just following his, guidance in that space. But so to be determined, but it's there, and it was a great exercise. And it's definitely something that I needed to do because it was extremely reflective, and it was part of something that I could take into treatment with my own counselor and with my own prescriber, because I take psychotropic medication as well. And so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but just know that it's there, and I'll tease it. in the very least, for sure. I'm going to be sharing candidly and vulnerably about how I manage my symptoms on a daily basis. Some days are good, some days are not so good. I'll talk about how I'm able to activate in times where, for example, I might have to be part of a program where I have to speak or do any type of media related, activity on a day where I probably just want to roll over, right? And I don't even feel like getting up. I got a lot of those stories, y'all. I mean, I've been in this space for almost 30 years and have had mental illness for 20 of those 30 years. So I can assure you, we are not void of content, okay? We got plenty of stuff that we can get into. So you can put all the comments and all the positivity down there. And if it's something that I can relate to, that I can speak to as part of my journey, I will pick up and drop a nugget based on what you have been able to share. But it is challenging sometimes. And sometimes I've even had close friends of mine just show up and hold the space for me in the back of the room so that I can, on those very heavy days, be able to activate. I don't ever know when that's going to happen. I could have something planned a month from now and be perfectly fine right now. But then maybe the day before something has happened, or I wake up that morning and I'm just, for some reason, my symptoms are just kind of, taken over, right? I say my symptoms sometimes have this tendency to creep over my medication, and I don't like that because I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. But life's, right? And so I just need to be vulnerable and honest about that. And so those are who I call my anchors. And so my anchors will show up. Nobody even knows they're there except for me. They'll come in, they'll catch my eye, they hold the space for me, and then they leave and I don't even see them get up and go. But I do end up connecting with them later in the day. So that's just one hint of how I navigate. And then I'll talk about the realities of what it feels like to process through a brain disorder every single day, every minute, every moment, every second. What did I tell my girlfriend? I said, it is so hard. Like, I have to process sometimes very strategically, like every second of every minute of every day, in order to get through whatever it is that I'm required to do in a space or with an engagement, or even just in my faith community. It's not that I don't want to be in that space. I definitely want to be there. It's just that it's just not a good day. And I have to recognize that in order to be able to put things in place so that I can overcome and still be successful. We are going to do some facts and fun. And when I say that, I love the opportunity that I've been blessed with this passion project of Hey, It's Dr. K, the truth about mental illness, because the branding company that I selected to work with me, y'all, these brothers are bad. They bad. That's it. It's like they took the vision that God gave me into my spirit. I poured it out to them verbally and in writing. I asked for all the bells and whistles, and they were like, bells, check, whistles, check. And the website is complete. It will be launched this fall during the launch for Hey, It's Dr. K, the truth about mental illness. So I'm definitely going to be shouting out everybody who has held this space for me as a business, who has been confidential, who has been discreet, who has honored Christ with me. To me, I do this unto the Lord. So I just am so blessed that he brought people into this space with me that can honor the God in me and the order that he has given, and not, take off ahead of that in any way. So I know that I'm blessed to have that. We're going to talk about ships, and by ships, I mean relationships. Okay. So all the ships that I have, that's the lens that I'm going to talk through. So you may resonate with some of these relationships. Even if you don't, maybe you know somebody who does, but I'm not going to be shy about that. I'm going to talk about self-care and like how I do it and what I do. I'll be honest right now. When I first was diagnosed with my first mental illness, brain disorder, I was seriously fumbling around like, what in the world? I don't even know how to do this. I was in treatment regularly, struggling, and then was diagnosed with another mental illness. And it's almost like that cycle just started all over again in terms of trying to figure out with these newer symptoms, how it is that I can better manage my brain disorder. So going to get into that. Also going to talk about suicide and suicide prevention. That's why I gave the 988 and the crisis text line, because this is something that I take very seriously to my core. It is absolutely personal for me. When I hear about suicide and I hear about suicide prevention, I don't think of the statistics as just numbers. Those are whole human beings, whole emotional beings that, in my opinion, left this side of heaven too soon. But there was a suffering there, and that person is gone. There have been times that I've learned about a loss of life to suicide and immediately burst into tears. And I'm not a crier. My friends and my family can tell you that if you see a tear roll out on either side of my eyes, or I call you and I'm crying, somebody needs to be on their way, because there's a problem. And it's not because I'm not an emotional being. I know that I am. It's just that I carry my emotions differently, depending on where I am. Even when I'm alone, I'm just not a crier like that. So if you see me come onto this platform, which I'm sure, because we in this to win this, I'm sure you're going to probably see me shed some tears in this space, because what I've gone through and what I continue to go through living with brain disorders is nothing short of the biggest and the greatest life challenge that I've ever experienced over time. So you're going to hear me talk about the truth in a way that I've not talked about it before. So I know you all have heard me. Some of you have heard me talk about behavioral health and talk about, you know, how to best engage and things like that. And that's fine. But that's not what this is. That's what that is. This is the truth about mental illness from my lived experiences on this side of heaven with these brain disorders, y'all. Mental illness is gritty. It is ugly. It is nasty. It is mean. It is selfish. It is deceptive. And real recently, I have identified it as a flat out thief. So I can't wait to break down each one of those reasons as to why I call mental illness that. This is not a space where I'm trying to bring us down, you know, in by talking about this, but I got to tell the truth about this stuff, y'all, so that we can take it on and be able to improve and amplify the way that we address it, not just individually, but collectively as a community, as a society, as a whole. So you're hearing me get into all of those things. And yes, I take notes because I want our time to be robust and succinct, and God gives me so much. He's been pouring this vision into me for decades now, and I'm literally just now getting to the point where it's ready to launch out. Like I can't hold on to it anymore. So my role is to tell the truth, whether it meets your lens of expectancy or not. That's not for me to decide. That's on you. I'm going to talk about how I experience my symptoms and how I overcome, and how I have absolutely amazing days, and how sometimes I have, you know, not so amazing days, how sometimes the not so amazing days are more frequent than the amazing days, and then also the inverse of that. So there are times where I have gone to my therapist or my prescriber's office. I'm laughing now because I'm thinking about them, and I have just wept. I have just wept in their offices because in my mind, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have to deal with this for the rest of my life. Like for real, like this never gonna go away. Like this how you wired me, Jesus? Is that what you're doing? You know, like it's just so hard that I can't even think about the life challenge I'm dealing with because I'm so caught up in the reality that this is me. And it's not easy by any means, but one thing I can assure you that I have never done, and I didn't even realize it until I went through that exercise of my journey video with mental illness. One thing I've never done is ask God to take these brain disorders away from me. I have never done that. I never plan to, because I genuinely feel like if I ask God to take these brain disorders away from me, that I would lose my purpose in life. That's how connected I am and how passionate I am about mental illness and about being an overcomer and about being able to move on second by second and minute by minute. It's never been my prayer for God to take it away. It's just always been, okay, I hate this. I don't like it, but this is the space that you called me into. So I have to go forward. I have to find a way. I have to do something this way, or I have to do something that way, or I've got to do better. And then I've also learned how to take breaks, whether or not that's connected to self-care directly or not, but just really taking a genuine break and giving myself some grace in my everyday life as I show up in different places. So I know that I'm not alone. 1 in 5 of us, you know, adults here in America suffer from mental illness. So I'm just going to acknowledge that. And I am one of those 5 people. I'm also going to talk about the load and the weight that is experienced when you have a brain disorder. I can even bring that into a layperson perspective and say that some time ago, I called a friend of mine and I said, listen, I need to come to you today. I've been holding on to something for a decade and I can't carry it no more. And author C.S. Lewis says it's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way that you carry it. And knowing that and having read that and heard that, I called and said, I need to come to you today. I don't care what time, right now, later this evening, just before midnight. Like, I just knew that that was the person I was supposed to reach out to. So I reached out to them, went to their home, poured out. They poured in validation, acknowledgement, awareness, affirmation, empowerment, all the great things, prayer. And it's like I left it. And I knew that it was effective. I knew that my vulnerability was effective. My truth about mental illness was effective, because less than 2 weeks later, this person who does not have a mental illness called me and said, I need to come to you now. What you did, I need to do that. I need to follow that. I need to follow what you did. They came to me, same thing happened. So it's not about us, sharing our weight so that somebody else can pick it up. Because one thing we're not doing is exchanging weight. That's what we're not going to do. That's not the point or the purpose. We're not doing that. But we are going to be there for one another. And I continue to tell this person this probably almost every single time that we talk, which is that this life is not meant for us to be lived alone. It just is not. We need relationships. We need quality, uplifting, positive, meaningful, impactful, kind relationships. We have to live in community with one another in order to get through life in a healthy way. And just that exercise of vulnerability, that step that I took to share out, and then that person came right back around and did the same thing, all the light bulbs were going off as it relates to this passion project that God has had me on this journey with. And so that's why I share that. It's not the load that breaks you down. However, it is the way that you carry it. So get ready for this ongoing social media campaign that's going to take us straight into the private launch in the fall of this year. And you're going to hear me say this phrase called "unto the nations" at the end of my videos when I sign off. I'll explain, that I won't tarry, because I do want you to understand what I mean when I say that. But it was something that was spoken over me back in the late 1990s when I gave my life to Christ at my home church at that time in Louisville, Kentucky, the Derby City. I gotta say that, L's up. And it's always stuck with me, and God continues to bring that same phrase to me through other people that I didn't even know at the time that I got saved. So I'll definitely be saying, that "unto the nations" phrase. And then also for you all to know that I grew up in a Muslim household. So this space is literally for everybody, right? Showing up as your true, authentic self, no matter what your faith walk looks like, no matter what it is. I'm not looking for perfection, because I'm not perfect either. I say that to say that 2 of my strongest faith anchors are Muslims. And I am so blessed that I am able to live on this side of heaven and walk alongside them and experience life with them. And they pour into me and I pour into them. And our belief systems regarding who we know that God is are different when it comes to us acknowledging our faith, but our walk with God through so many of these life expectancies and unexpectancies is just phenomenal, how he has used them and how he has used me in their life as well. So I just want to be able to share that. And there's just so much good stuff coming out of this space, y'all. I'm just going to end it right here, because one thing I know about the Lord is that I cannot be disobedient in this work that I'm doing with this platform. So I refuse to run ahead of my gift. I refuse to run ahead of obedience and what he has told me is supposed to happen when, because he's been just so faithful this entire time, from the time that I was at that altar all the way up through now, and giving me the very intricately detailed strategy for how he wants to use my experiences with mental illness to further the messaging of quality of life through, this lens, and just reducing stigma, but doing that in an actionable way. So this is a call to action as I close out this social media campaign launch video. And that is this: as soon as this video is over, text somebody, call somebody, stop in somebody's office, help somebody at the grocery store. There's people all around us. Don't ignore the people around you. You never know what somebody is going through, and be kind. I've had to say it verbally. I've had to tell people in writing, really a lot since this pandemic. We're all selfishly going through certain things, right? I have to be aware of that stuff. I got to give grace to myself and other people. So I'm going to try to do as best I can, even better now that I've spoken it outwardly to you all, to hold myself accountable of being even more kind, to people, because I also don't know what everybody else is going through. And so if you could please just take a moment after this, send a text, send an email, send a flare, I don't know, whatever way it is that it takes for you to just encourage somebody. You do not know what they're going through on any given day. People don't know what you're experiencing, likely, especially if you're in a work environment, right? It's not the same as when you're at home. So just be encouraging and be kind. So that's all I got for today. Be positive, and until next time, when you see me on here, unto the nations. That's all I can say. All right, y'all. Till next time.